This here is a land shark.
Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. That was Galatians 5:1. Basically what's being said here is that if you stand with Christ, you shall be made free. Free from anything that might be holding you back, whether it be financial situations, relationship situations, something with the family, a pet, a dog, whatever, whatever you are going through, God will untangle your mess and handle it for you as long as you believe He can help you and that you will become better from such help. Like an instance for me. Yeah, I'm a good example of that. I kind of lost track of what I was going to say, but that's Galatians 5:1, chat. Not that much to talk about. It's a really short verse. I don't even think it was 2 sentences, man. But anyways, what's up, chat? It is day 145 of my workout series. Oh my god! Ugh. With today being chest day. Chest day, best day. Before we start with chest day, we gotta go over the checklist as per usual. So, here's the checklist. We did 20 minutes on the treadmill, 9 incline, 3 miles per hour. We then did some chest presses, 3 sets of those, 12, 6, 3, increasing in weight, but decreasing in reps each set. Same with tricep presses. Yeah. After the tricep presses, which is what we did 4 minutes ago, it is now time for my favorite thing of all time, next to big booty bitches. As my Uncle Khaki once told me, with great power comes great big booty bitches. Anyways, we have barbell bench press up first today, and we will be doing 3 sets. Yeah, we are going to do 3 sets. We're not going to say 3 or 4. We are doing 3 for each of these exercises. Because it's Friday, I cannot feel my hand for the life of me because of fucking all the writing I did today. 2 essays worth, at least 7 pages worth. My hand is decimated. My brain is out of function. I am hurting all in my right arm. Thank God it's not my left, because I'm pretty sure if my left was hurting or tingling or making weird gestures, I'd either be having a stroke or a heart attack, which neither are good. Absolutely neither are good. But I'm blessed I've yet to experience either of those. Without this workout centers, I probably would have experienced a heart attack at the age of 20, late 20, early 21st. If I did not work out point blank period and I just sat on a couch all day and just ate fucking potato chips. Dude. Oh man. Dude, I'd be on the next season of my 600-pound life. Oh man. I'm so glad I lost all that weight. It really has helped me so much. But anyways, chat. Shall we begin with these barbell bench presses? And then after that, we can move on to dumbbell shoulder presses and then dumbbell tricep extensions. Same thing as last chest day. 3 sets of all 3. Because I did my comps, my written comps, and all I have left are oral comps, which are next Friday, which I'm not ready for in the slightest. dick. One day, I'm gonna fuck up where I put this thing, and it's just gonna go right on my face. One fucking day, I'm counting on that shit. Because that means there's a lawsuit on the way. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, chat. Ugh. I'm tired. We're gonna do 2 more sets of those, then we'll move on to probably dumbbell shoulder presses. Most likely. Alright, chat. Oh, I don't like my smile. Jesus Christ, it looks like shit. Parents pay thousands of dollars for my new teeth. Still don't like how I smile. Worth it though, because my mandible and maxilla aren't touching each other. Growing up, I did not have an overbite or an underbite. They were right on top of each other. And basically the dentist said, yeah, if this continues, his teeth are gonna like grind down. I'm like, I was told at a young age I never needed braces in my entire life. My entire life, I was told I did not need braces. Junior year of high school was when I got braces. It wasn't until a week before graduation. A week until graduation for high school when I got my braces removed. We were this close to having braces in our high school graduation photos, chat. Our high school graduation photos. You're telling me if I show my kids what their father looked like in high school and they see the graduation photo of me with braces, they'd be like, Dad, you look dumb, you look ugly, or whatever, you know. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know why your mom picked me. She could have had Tom Cruise for all she cares. Anyways, moving on. We finished those barbell bench press. Oh, you feel nice. This working out is paying off, bitches. I felt my bicep, or whatever this is, and I was like, oh. Don't even get me started on my right one. Goon. Don't goon, chat. Anyways, dumbbell shoulder presses. Not incline because fuck trying to get this thing off the damn rack. And the whole freaking rack needs to like be picked up so I can move the you know? You know? I mean, it's just like, I don't got time for that, chat. I don't got the time. I don't got the time. But we do got time to do dumbbell shoulder presses that aren't inclined. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 3 sets of these, and then we'll move on to dumbbell tricep extensions. Then we'll call it a day. Oh, shit, on a stick. Oh. Christ almighty. Christ. Oh, that hurts. Oh! Nah, man, that was way too close to my lefty. Way too fucking close. Dude. Like dumbbell, lefty. Oh, that shit would have stung. I would have had to call the workout early. I don't even want to think about lefty getting swatches. This is what happens to a person when he's alone 16 to 18 hours a day. Not good, but I'll be honest, I'm perfectly okay with it. You know, I don't have to impress anyone. I don't have to The only time I have to keep up appearances is either this or class. Other than that, I'm just chilling, you know? I'm just a chill guy with no dick, no balls, probably no butthole either, due to the radiation. Those who know. But anyways, we'll do 2 more sets of these shoulder presses, and then dumbbell tricep extensions will be the last thing for today. Alright, chat. Finished those, what the fuck were they? Dumbbell tricep extensions, right? No, dumbbell shoulder presses, because next is dumbbell tricep extensions. That's what's next on the list. And the last thing for today. So yeah, chat, without further ado, let's just get straight into these, what the fuck did I just say? Dumbbell tricep extensions, yeah. I already did 2 sets of these when I was on a call with my mother just now. So we're just gonna do 1. Then we'll call it a day. So 1 set and then we're done. Dude, this week was pretty hellish. But next week, I'm just gonna eat a bullet on Friday, bro. Next Friday. I ain't ready for next Friday, man. Because I got comps again, but the oral portion, where I have to visibly talk to my professors. Yeah, I have to talk in front of the 3 people who are literally in charge of my grade and if I graduate or not. No pressure! But no, in all seriousness, I have faith that I'll pass at least, you know. I'll pass at least. And if not, I have God. God will be by my side as he was through the written comps today. I believe God is steering me in the right direction. And I believe his plan is gonna be turbulent. But after all the turbulence, Jesus. But after all the turbulence, smooth fly. Ow. Why are you mean? Alright, chat. Well, that's day 145, man. I hope everyone has a good weekend. I may or may not see you tomorrow. If I don't, see you Monday. And if I don't see you on Monday, probably dead. You know. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thanks for watching. This was day 145. See you tomorrow or Monday for day 146.